It's Caleb.
It's Megan, and we're back with episode 11 of the #WhoDis podcast.
Meg, we have the wellness queen on the podcast today. Run us through who we have.
That's right. So former international model Nikki Sharp is also a best-selling author and a boss babe in all things health and fitness with 341,000 followers on Instagram. She inspires and helps others worldwide to live a fulfilled life through food, exercise, spirituality, and it doesn't even stop there. So welcome to the podcast, Nikki.
Thank you guys so much. I'm so grateful to be here. Such a huge fan of everything you guys are doing, all the products. So can't wait to get going. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Nikki, you're an absolute star. You've had so much success in life in a variety of areas, which we'll get into as the podcast goes on. But let's start with the present moment. It's 2021. It's a brand new year. We're starting fresh. How's things looking for you at the moment? What are you up to?
2021 actually has kicked off to be an incredible year. I really took COVID and quarantine and decided to work on myself, my finances, my business, and where it was a time for all of us that it was this unknown uncertainty. I just chose to become the caterpillar that would turn into the butterfly when the time was right. And so I actually just launched a group coaching program, and then I'll be kicking off a few more as Q1, Q2 go along, and working with private clients, obviously working with different brands. And I actually couldn't be happier and more fulfilled in 2021 and to be able to help other people. So things are going good for me.
That's amazing. And so you're in the health and wellness space now, but prior to, you were an international model. So tell us a little bit more about your modeling journey and kind of why you decided to transition into this different industry that you're in now.
Sure. So I actually didn't mean to transition into the wellness industry. It just happened. And I actually lived in Sydney, Australia for a year. I loved that. That was a very fun time. I've lived Seoul, Bangkok, Athens, London, New York, LA, Shanghai, Sydney, like literally all over the world doing this. And
rank your top three. I want to know, God. Sorry to cut you off. I want to know your top three. This is how you get brownie points.
Yeah, I know. Well, Sydney's definitely top three. It's just a stunning place. Unfortunately, we can't travel there right now. So Sydney, I would say, modeling wise of other places that I lived, I actually really loved living in Athens. It's such an interesting culture, and it's fun, and it was great weather. And then I would say, London is another favorite of mine. And I'm British, so I have dual citizenship to England and America. So I loved living in London on and off. But the whole basis of how I got into the health industry was during modeling, I had 2 different eating disorders. I was battling those for many, many years. I had terrible skin. I had insomnia for 7 years straight. I was on sleeping medication for 5 years. I went to I was hospitalized 2 different times for not being able to sleep, and I had electrodes all over my head, and I walked out and they were like, "There's nothing wrong with you." And you're like, "No, but there is," because you're like, "I'm not sleeping." So I was going through all of that, and it was very challenging. And anyone who's been through a health journey or is in one now, and a doctor or nutritionist or anyone says, we just can't quite figure out what's wrong. And you're like, "But I'm searching for answers. I need to know because I don't feel good." And I was struggling with body dysmorphia, pretty much the gamut of things that you would look at me now and be like, you went through that? I'm like, yeah, I did. So I ended up leaving New York, and I went back to Colorado, where I'm from, and I did 30 days of cooking my own food. I exercised every day. Not because I hated my body, but because I loved it and I wanted to nourish it. And the fresh air, cooking my own food, not binging, all of these things helped. And after 30 days, I was like, oh my God, there's something to this. So kind of a light bulb moment went off. I started studying nutrition, not for any other reason than I just wanted to know for myself. And believe it or not, in 2012, I had my account and I was starting to post things that inspired me. Like I would post photos of my food. And I remember a few of my friends were like, Nikki, why are you posting your food? Nobody cares. Cut to 2021 and everyone's taking photos. But it was a funny moment for me. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go start a new account. And I started a new account, started posting. I would take photos from Pinterest and Tumblr of, motivational girls, things that inspired me on my health journey. And people started following me. And from there, I found that I had a passion for sharing this. But the other thing to know is when I started my account, I would not post any photos of my head. So I would post body photos of my neck down because I didn't want people knowing that I was just another model complaining about her body being too skinny, because it was so much more than that. And what ended up happening was, because of my authenticity and sharing what I was going through and these eating disorders, people started following me more and more and more. And I started learning nutrition, sharing recipes. And I remember people would start telling me their deepest, darkest secrets. And they're like, Nikki, you're my last hope. And I'm like, you don't even know me. And I actually, my first book, I ended up dedicating to one woman who shared so much with me, and it inspired me to do what I do now. And so then I went and I got all these different degrees and certifications and health coaching, and became a vegan chef and a yoga teacher, because my philosophy is, and I know I'm answering a lot of questions in one, but my philosophy is that nutrition itself does not heal the mind. Exercise itself does not heal the mind. It's when we put everything together of mind, body, soul. And that's really what I teach and I believe in. And that's how I overcame the 2 eating disorders. That's how I cleared up my skin, got rid of literally every ailment that I have. So long answer to your question.
I love that. And I love that philosophy that you finished on. I want to go back to, we actually share a very similar story. I started Tropeaka through my own health journey, my own health issues. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a doctor's polite way, at least back in 2011 when I got that diagnosis, is a doctor's polite way of saying I've got no idea what's wrong with you. And you lose that hope. But what I'm really fascinated in your story about is, what was it that got you to kind of still have that hope and know that, okay, there are solutions? Like, or was it complete luck? Like, I know you spoke about going back home. I think it was, you spoke about going back home, but you cooked your own food for 30 days and implemented other strategies. But yeah, was there a catalyst, or was there just something inside you that said, no, I'm going to, even though the doctors aren't giving me answers here, I know that there's a solution?
Great question. And I think it's so important as well for people to know that and listen to this, because there are so many times where we lose hope. And I was there. I actually went to an eating disorder clinic via my doctor, and I went to my doctor in London and I said, I am scared of committing suicide, because I was at that moment of, I don't think I can do this anymore. I had no solutions left. And what I was doing was not working. So I ended up going to an eating disorder clinic. He gave me, he referred me, and they told me it was a 6-month waiting list to get in. And I was like, I don't have 6 months at this current rate that we're going. And anyone that's going through a health challenge feels that way. You're like, I need solutions
Absolutely.
now. And doctors just kept giving me sleeping pills for the sleep and acne medication. And my dermatologist said I was going to have to be on Roaccutane for the rest of my life. I'd already taken it 3 times by the time that I was 21. And that's a powerful skin drug. So at that moment, I went on antidepressant medication around 24, and I took it for 1 day. And I said, Nikki, I kind of had that, when someone has like that conversation with God, I had it with myself. And I was like, Nikki, you're a bubbly, vivacious girl. You have to figure out what is going on. And so it's when you hit rock bottom in your own mind, it's almost like something else picks you up. And you don't know if it's that internal thing or what it is. It could be God, spirit, universe. And something inside me just said, you need to find some solutions now. And that's when I really started getting into the health and nutrition. I signed up for a triathlon. I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my mind out of this narrow focus that I had, which was I'm suffering, I am a victim. And I just started trying to expand. And I also started realizing that a lot of the challenges that I was going through were because of loneliness. And so when I started going into these nutrition courses and being around other people, like-minded people, suddenly it was like, oh, I have someone to talk to and I don't feel so alone. And I think that a lot of people in today's day and age, and especially with COVID and quarantine and everything, do feel really alone. And so all of those inner demons are coming up. And for me, it was really about, how can I connect with people? How can I connect with myself? And what do I need to learn in order for my health to improve?
Yeah, well, that's so powerful. I'd love to talk a little bit more about that loneliness kind of side of things. There's so many different paths that you can take when you're without any answers, right? Funnily enough, you mentioned Roaccutane and whatnot. My health issues came from 5 years of antibiotic use for my skin as well as a teenager into a young guy, and completely destroyed my immune system. And when I was sick at that point, your doctors prescribed you antidepressants and all that. My doctors prescribed me more antibiotics because I'd felt like I'd been hit by a bus every single day, because I had flu-like symptoms because I had no immune system. So it's funny the parallel. Can you pronounce that word for me?
Parallel.
that people have. But talk more about when you have no answers, you've got so many different paths to take. Can you kind of give some advice in terms of, if someone is without hope or without answers, where they should be looking in terms of their next steps, because everything's so individualized as well?
It is. And it's hard because I feel like people are searching almost too many places now. And that's where a lot of confusion is coming about, in terms of, do I go to this doctor? Do I look at this podcast or this blog post? But I really think it starts from connection to other people. I think that we go through so much because we get caught up in our own life, our own, as I said, our own victimhood, our own suffering, that we don't feel loved or we feel alone in our life. And I know for me, it was traveling the world, doing this amazing career, was really lonely. And anytime that I would go home, suddenly I felt that connection again. So I feel like if someone is in a place where they're struggling or suffering with something, first off, talk to people. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say that you're not doing okay. And I do also feel that we're in a day and age where we don't want to look like we're not strong all the time. And so for us to be able to say, like, hey, actually, to our friends, our family, I'm not doing okay. Do you have any advice? Or reaching out, like I always say to people on my Instagram, contact me. If you're going through something, message me. I'll message you back and like, let's chat. And I think finding different podcasts and supplements like, Tropeaka, for example, is like nourishing your body with the correct foods is the first place to start. Like, it's the number one thing, because we can't clear the mind and what's going on until we clear the body. And so I always say that the way that we eat and cleaning up our diet is the gateway to the soul. And it's like the most simple barrier of entry into understanding our fears and what we want to do with our life and what holds us back. But we can only get there once we actually kind of clean up our diet through good products, supplements, through good meals and food.
Yeah, 100%. And touching back a little bit more on relationships and connections, there's probably a lot of younger people out there who could be experiencing the same health journey or similar. So what was your childhood like in terms of how it kind of impacted your life throughout childhood as well, or any external influences that impacted the health journey that you went through?
Yeah. So for me, it was, I grew up in a pretty happy home. My parents did get divorced when I was 14. That had a really big impact on me. And I think divorce hits you at any age, no matter, what your parents are going through or what age you are. So I had that. From kind of 14 on, actually like 13 onwards, it was like year after year of like quote unquote bad things. And not from my parents per se, but my high school, there was a lot of drama that happened, and it was not, I did not have the high school experience that like you think the typical American has. I didn't have the college experience that most Americans have. Everything was like very lonely and isolated for me because of these different experiences. In terms of my actual childhood though, like my mom would make dinner every night for my family, and I'm an only child. But then I was eating the standard American diet, i.e. the SAD diet. It's literally called the standard American diet or the SAD diet. Yeah, it's, I mean, you're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And so they feed you, like at school, they feed you pizza and pastas, and they literally count like a pizza as a vegetable. And you're like, okay, what? And like Lunchables and all these things. So because of all, I just have always had a very sensitive body. And because of all of that, by 7 years old, I actually was hospitalized for such bad stomach pains and put on antacids. At 13, I was put on the strongest antacids that you can be put on, like for adults. And I had to go on the brat diet, which was bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast, mono meals of just those things. So I'm like, I've been kind of quote unquote suffering since a very young age, not because of my parents, but just because America in itself does not have the nutritional background for kids on how to live a healthy, happy life. And then on top of that, my family is British, so my parents live in America. All the rest of my family lives in the UK. So I didn't have all of my aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and cousins growing up. And as an only child, and my parents both worked, it does kind of put you in a little bit of it's like just me. And so I became an introvert. And you guys probably wouldn't believe this, but I'm actually quite introverted in my life. And so I've learned how to kind of come out of my shell and everything, but I do believe that, what we go through in our childhood affects us. But one thing that I always say to people is don't get stuck with the story of who you were, because who you were is not who you are now. And so I've worked really hard to get out of that quote unquote story, because who we were and when we're caught in that story is typically a victimhood. And so in order to get out of that, and if you're in some sort of trauma or suffering or health journey, it's making sure that you're focusing on like, where am I today? Not where was I yesterday or last year. And that's why when people compare their bodies to last year, they're 5 years ago, I fit in my skinny jeans. It's like, but you're going to the past. We're in the present moment now. So I hope that answers your question of my childhood.
That's great. How you talk, it actually reminded me, I was listening to a couple of the podcasts that you've been on previously, and in it you spoke about, just in one sentence, that you're involved in Tony Robbins events, or you have been in the past, and just listening to you then, it definitely reminds me of Tony Robbins. One of the books that impacted my life and how I changed my life around, not only through, you said nutrition is important, but it's not the only thing. And my mindset had to change. And one of the books that impacted my life so much was Tony Robbins' Unlimited Power. Yes. And Awaken the Giant Within. And he talks a lot about exactly what you just said, not having victim mentality, because you can't grow and you can't improve out of a state of there's no empowerment in victimhood. And it's important to recognize that, yes, we go through tough circumstances, and a lot of people go through extremely tough circumstances, and unfortunately that's part of life. But I think so much about that healing journey, especially for myself, and I know from what you say, similar with you, like it's all about getting the resources behind you, getting the whether it's people, whether it's diets, nutrition, experts, whatever, to help you really find a solution when you see no answers. You don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. I really love that. So I want to talk a little bit more about the SAD diet. One thing I saw recently, which was great, was, well, it wasn't great, but it was eye-opening, is they had they had the US version of a product and then the UK or Australian version of the product. And the US has high fructose corn syrup. It has all this artificial junk and rubbish in it and the products weren't even necessarily healthy products, but like at least the Australian, the UK version was a whole lot cleaner and less ingredients in there. This obviously all inspired you to come out with your incredibly popular, you sold, was it over 1 million copies of
I wish. No,
it was hundreds of thousands.
100,000 of the ebook before I then published it as the app to the book. Yeah.
Gotcha. I add an extra 0 on there, but still,
I wish we could still, if people buy it.
Yeah, we can, exactly. It's not over yet, but 100,000 of just an ebook is insane. Talk us through the inspiration behind. Obviously you've spoken about the inspiration, but talk us through why it was so successful and why it's impacted so many people's lives.
Yeah. So for reference, what we're talking about, because I think we missed that part, was that my 5-day detox and the 5-day detox.
Real food.
How that actually came about was quite interesting. It was during a time I was living in London. I was somewhat in the health industry in the sense that I was doing blog posts on recipes. I was sharing things. I don't think I had even posted a photo of my face yet on my Instagram. I think I was at like 5,000 followers. There was no link in bio. You couldn't do any messaging. There were no, you couldn't do stories yet. And I ended up going through December, as we all do, being like, whoa, I feel pretty bad, crappy, just gross, drank too much, ate too much. And it came to me that I was like, I want to do a detox. And detoxing was not a big thing at this time. There were no real juice cleanses. There were no smoothie cleanses. The only other 2 cleanses that I saw was the Gwyneth Paltrow, Alejandro Younger 21-day clean cleanse, which was $400 to not eat food, take supplements. And I was like, coming from eating disorders, I was like, I would like to eat food because I don't want to go back there. And then the other one was Shape Magazine had, their free 7-day detox cleanse, which was like 1 piece of salmon and 6 spears of asparagus. And I'm like, well, I don't eat salmon and 6 spears is not going to fill me up. So I wrote my own. And it's one of those things where I do believe that it was channeled from above because it came to me. I wrote it all and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And I chose 5 days because I was like, I don't really want to go into the weekend. I'd rather just commit fully 100% to 5 days, Monday through Friday, and be done with it. And so it's 5 meals a day for 5 days. And I was a broke model, didn't know how to cook, living in a tiny apartment in London. It was cold and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. So I was like, okay, what can I do here? So I took things that I knew and then intuitively as well, based on, and I didn't know that much about Ayurveda at this point, but the way that I wrote it was you have a more raw food meal at lunch because your digestion is strongest. You have a cooked meal at night because that's when we typically crave for heavier food, comfort foods. You have snacks throughout the day to keep your blood sugar going. And when I calculated the macros at the end of it, I was like, this is perfect. And so I ended up literally writing a little thing, screenshotting it and putting it, being like, hey, I wrote this plan. Do you guys want it? And everyone was like, yes. So I charged not because I was trying to charge for the detox I was like, anyone can get this information out there. I actually just charged because I knew people were going to come to me with questions. And I made it £5 because I was living in London, cost of a coffee sort of thing. It was $8 in the US, and it went viral like overnight. There was no link in bio, so people had to actually go to my website, or they would put their email. I would email the PayPal invoice. They'd email me back. I'd email them, and I was like, I can't do this. And then once I got it up on my website, it literally just went it wildfire, and it blew up, and it became. I almost didn't have to. I would put it before and after, but there was nothing on the market like it, and still to this day, there's nothing on the market like it. And I'm not saying that because I wrote it. I'm saying it in the sense that there's nothing that combines raw food, like, salads, with cooked food, with snacks 5 meals a day that's cheap and affordable and easy to prepare, and it teaches you portion sizes, and you see dramatic results in 5 days. And so that's kind of the journey, and it's just so funny because I wrote it for myself and then put it as an ebook, and the rest is history. And from there, I then turned it into an app, and the app went #1 in 6 countries the day that I launched it. Turned it into a book that became a bestseller, and still today, like during COVID, the app, shot back up to the top of the charts just because people need it, and you're not starving. It's not like you're hangry or anything on a juice cleanse, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Love it. That's so amazing. So good.
Well, let's pause the podcast for a second. Just a quick announcement. Firstly, thank you so much for tuning into the hashtag Who Dis podcast so far. Just a quick reminder, remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes, and don't forget to share it with your friends. You can also find us at Tropeaka on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, pretty much all over the web for all of your health and fitness inspo, along with a whole lot of fun. Well, I'm definitely not surprised it's been so successful, and I love the fact that it is real food, and I feel like it's something that you can almost just incorporate into your everyday life, whether you're doing the 5-day detox or not, which is amazing and so versatile. So I want to start to move into a bit more. You talked about mind, body, and soul. So I wanted to touch a bit more on mental health. So we're going to move into a segment called hashtag Mindset Matters, just to kind of pick your brain, because you've been obviously through such a long journey and come out completely successful and feeling fulfilled, like you said, and just who you are. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions to kind of help everyone listening to this as well kind of get some tips on how to improve their mental health.
Okay, sounds good.
So the first question is, throughout your health battles, how did you kind of overcome your journey through the emotional side of things? Did you have a support group or anything like that?
I did not have a support group, and that's actually what made my journey so much harder. And I don't recommend my style of journey because it's a longer, lonelier ride to get to the end goal that we're all seeking. But I would definitely suggest for people to have a support group, but so many people right now feel like they don't, and especially when you're in that state of suffering or not knowing the answers. As I said in the beginning, you kind of don't want to go and share to people like, hey, I'm like really not feeling good in myself. So for me, it was honestly the community of Instagram is what got me there, and being so authentic and vulnerable. And when I started my account and as it grew bigger, I remember one day having a really bad binge, and I was like, and I looked at supermodels like Giselle, Miranda Kerr, and I was like, I need to know that they have a bad day. I just need to know that, because that will help me. And they, still to this day, they've never come out and said, I've had a bad day. So for me, it was, if I ever get not even known to this level, but it was like, if people keep following me and talking to me, I want to be the girl that gives others inspiration to know that everything is okay, to know that you're not alone. And so by very way of connecting with my Instagram followers and building this community. So I guess it is like I kind of had a community, but I didn't have close friends or family to talk to. That's really what helped me. And the iteration of where I started to where I am today, my OG followers who have been with me back from 2012, they really have seen the journey and where it's gone, and how I've transitioned into more mindset spirituality, because as you overcome one thing, you get to that next level. So long, short answer is, I guess community via Instagram would be what helped me the most.
That's great. Oh, sorry, were you going to do a follow-up?
No, you're right. Yeah, I just wanted to know if you ever felt like you reached out to someone and you felt rejected, if you had ever been rejected by seeking out to someone, and how that made you feel and how you also overcame that, because I feel like that also happens a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and especially like with the Instagram world, it's changed. When I started, people were so much more friendly. Like everyone would share each other's accounts, and you would message someone, and everyone just talked. It was much more community feeling. I remember I did ask for someone who was a little bit famous at the time, but in the health world, to be my mentor, and I just I asked, and unfortunately she said no. And that was definitely a little soul crushing, where you're like, oh, okay, I guess I have to do this alone. But I was almost in my own head too much to ask for help from people. And that probably made it a lot harder. And I think that's why I've learned as much as I have, because it's just been like, all right, girl, you got to figure it out. I do think that reaching out for help is an amazing thing. And that's why I'm constantly sharing with my audience. Like, if you are not feeling good, message me, please, because I know what it's like to feel so alone. And I also understand how to teach and share messages that makes people not feel so alone. So I would say, I mean, always ask for help, and we always are going to get no's in our life. And it's how you I have received countless no's in my business, countless. And you're like, you can't let them get you down. You have to just keep persevering.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. One thing that the average person doesn't put enough focus on is the connection between nutrition and mental health. Dr. Daniel Amen talks a lot about this, an American psychiatrist who's doing amazing work in that space, especially around blending, say, modern psychiatry and pharmaceuticals with a more holistic approach, and making massive progress there. I'd love you to talk a little bit more about, say, those inflammatory foods that we should be avoiding, and the foods that we should be adding to our diet that are actually going to help us with our mental health.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you one answer first, though. What's the worst thing that you can put in your mouth for your health?
You know what? I heard you say this on a previous
Don't
podcast
give the answer.
I listened to. So I'll leave it up to Meg.
I'm scared.
That's a
Putting
trick
you
question.
on the spot here, Meg.
Oh my gosh.
You're no chance.
Negative thoughts.
So the answer is negative thinking. Negative.
Oh my
thoughts.
gosh, I got
Well
it.
done, Meg. I gave it away
done.
because I said a trick question. You
It
did
is.
well, Meg.
And so the reason that I start my answer with that is because people are so focused about, what food should I eat? What should I not? I can't eat this. I have to have a perfect diet. And if you have a quote unquote perfect diet and you eat all the right supplements, this, that, the other, but you constantly are stressed and you're telling yourself you don't look good, or you're fat, or you'll never get this, you'll never get the guy, you'll never get the money that you want, that is far more detrimental than any health food that you eat. Far more detrimental than any single piece of sugar that you put in your body, because that is the very thing that leads to judgment, and judgment leads to then binging and that F it mentality. And so anyone that's listening to this, yes, and I'll give the answers of what are correct things to eat and not so good things, but it's, the saying goes, one cheeseburger from McDonald's is not going to kill you, the same as one salad is not going to make you healthy. It's consistency, and it's really understanding your thought pattern and letting go of the judgment of, oh my God, I'm a bad person because I ate a donut. Right? And so that's the number one thing that we need to really get across to people is health is food, nutrition, exercise, but health really starts with your mindset. So to actually answer your question, though, what are the best anti-inflammatory foods? I mean, everyone should be taking turmeric. Turmeric is literally the most powerful food on the planet. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps with headaches. It helps with skin. It helps cleanse your body. It is truly the most natural one, and you can put it into smoothies and juices. You can take turmeric supplements. The key, though, and you guys know this, but anyone listening, is when you take turmeric, you have to have it with black pepper. Otherwise, your body doesn't absorb it quite as well. The other thing is ginger. adding ginger to grated ginger to stir fries, putting it into, again, juices, smoothies, putting it in hot water. So lemon's going to be the next one. But doing warm water with lemon is the best thing for your body in the morning. It kickstarts your digestion. It helps put your body immediately after resting for 8 hours or so into a state of alkalinity. And the biggest thing that people don't understand is when we have cravings, and especially during COVID and quarantine, people were like, I'm drinking too much and I'm eating too much chocolate. What do I do? And the more that we eat those foods, the more that our body goes into a state of acidity. And so when our body's in a state of acidity, we end up craving those things more. So the easiest way to kickstart your day to get rid of those cravings, for example, is half a lemon squeezed in with warm water, not boiling, but just warm. And you drink that on an empty stomach. And I know the medical medium came out and said celery juice. The thing is, celery juice, not everyone has a juicer. Not everyone wants to buy that. Not everyone wants to go buy organic celery. It's not available all the time. It's expensive. So I say buy a lemon. With one lemon for 50 cents or $1, you get 2 halves of it. That's 2 mornings worth, or you can make it last for longer. Everything that I teach is to make it cost effective and to make sure that you can do it, you stick to it, right? Like celery juice for me, I have a juicer. I don't do every day because it's kind of a pain in the butt to clean a juicer every day, right? You're like, I don't know if I really want to do that. So, and like smoothies, for example, are so good for you, but if it's cold out, you don't really want a smoothie. And so what we want to do is find the least resistance to making health easier. I always say, count the rainbow, eat the rainbow. So eat the rainbow, don't count colors. Oh my God, Nikki. Wow, let's start that again. Eat the rainbow, stop counting calories. There we go. And the reason that is, the more colorful your food, and this is what I love about Tropeaka as well, is every single bag, and as I'm watching, behind you guys, it's every bag is vibrant. And the reason that we want colorful foods is that every color has a different nutrient, phytonutrient, vitamin for your body. So carrots, for example, beta carotene. We know that that's great for the eyes. We know that beets are bright, that kind of like dark purpley red. That's what your blood looks like. So we know that they're a blood cleanser. And spinach, one of the greatest detoxifiers. And all of these things are available pretty much at all times of the year. And it's not that you need to get those specific, but I always say put 3 colors on your plate for every meal. And it's that simple. And then what ends up happening is you reduce cravings naturally. You have more energy because you're getting all of these nutrients. You're not thinking about what I can and can't eat and what diet I need to be on. So for example, blueberries, strawberries, watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumber, edamame, broccoli, beetroot, even ginger, oranges. All of these are, minus the ginger, but all of these are vibrant in color. And the more vibrant the color means the better it is for your health. So that's kind of this simple-ish answer of what you should be eating. What you should not be eating is anything in excess. That's really the answer. Because people freak out like, oh my God, I'm not allowed to have a pizza now. Or, oh, I can't have donuts, or I'm not allowed to drink alcohol. And I'm the girl that comes in and says, oh, no, you totally are. I still drink, I still eat pizza, I still do all the things that a lot of health and wellness experts say don't do. And my whole thought on that is, if you tell yourself you can't have it, well, what are you going to do? You're going to crave it. You're going to want it. Right? So instead of saying, I can't have that, you say, okay, well, when am I allowed to have it? When can I enjoy this with friends, sort of thing? So it's not that, like, yes, we know that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. We know that to be true. It's more addictive than heroin. However, it's how often you're eating that sugar and what your mindset is around it. So that's why I say, instead of focusing so much on the what you can't have, like if I tell you, don't think about the color blue. Do not think about the color blue. You guys, whatever you're doing, do not think about the color blue.
Thinking of it.
I'm looking at blue skies at the moment, Nikki. Yeah. What do I do?
Your brain automatically goes into what you shouldn't be doing. That's why I never say don't diet per se. Don't think about what you can't eat. think about the things you should be eating, which is the rainbow of foods.
Yeah, well, I'm 100% convinced I need to go on a grocery shop after this podcast.
I love it.
Yes. And moving on your blog, actually, I saw that there are a bunch of spiritual practices that you actually do, whether it's something like meditation or something more on the crazier side. Do you want to just touch base a little bit into your spiritual, is it right to say awakening in that sense?
Yeah.
And how that also helps you along the way?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, we are spiritual beings. We all have this desire to know what our purpose is in life, why we're here on this planet. I think every single person can agree, like, we want to know why it is we're here. And for me, I've never been a quote unquote deeply spiritual person. I'm not a woo-woo, go sit there and meditate and om and chant and all that. I really try to bring spirituality with psychology and transmit that into everything that I'm doing. And so in myself, I found that I started back when I was going through the very beginning of my health journey, trying to find solutions and answers. I started meditating. I was like, this is hard. I don't know how people meditate. My brain won't stop talking. The thing that we all have, like, I can't meditate. Wah, 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 the chitter chatter. And I just kept doing it, practicing different types of it. I started doing yoga. I got my yoga certification, learned all about the practices there, the history, the spirituality of it. And what I found was every single person has their own unique spiritual journey. And however woo-woo you want to get, or however, if maybe it's religion. Religion to me is also a spiritual practice. And so I think that there has to be this convergence of, instead of bringing us apart, like you're either spiritual or you're religious, like really at the same time, like we're all trying to seek a greater purpose, greater meaning, connection to something bigger than us. And along the way, I've just happened to have some really crazy experiences where I've never taken plant medicine, but I've had like a full ayahuasca journey. My mind just went poof and had a crazy experience, had a full kind of quote unquote mushroom experience with no drugs, alcohol, plant medicine, where I left my body. And it's just been, the more that I've cleaned what we call the vessel, the body is the vessel, I have a deeper connection to source, spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. And through all of that, I'm able to trust my intuition more, get answers. The more that I meditate, the more that I journal. And why I like journaling so much is, instead of meditation, which is the practice of stopping the thoughts, journaling says, I'm actually going to put the thoughts on paper and get them out of the mind. And I think that's a really big difference, and people should do both, because neither one is good versus bad. But the ultimate goal, in my view, is you really want to acknowledge the thoughts that are going on in the mind. And so when you acknowledge them and you put them on paper and you're like, hey, here's what's going on. And then once you do that, you're able to sit back and meditate. It's kind of like almost a kind of like when you throw up, you feel really good afterwards, and you're able to be like, oh, okay, I feel better. That's the same as what I view writing, because I'm almost like I'm just word vomiting in a sense, like as weird as that sounds, but it clears the mind and that monkey chatter, and then allows a deeper connection of whatever needs to come in. And so that's really my view on spirituality, and everything that I teach has spirituality infused into it. I'm just not that person that will ever tell you to go to a 10-day Vipassana retreat or anything like that, because I think that we are humans living in this very bizarre world, especially with COVID, and we need to learn spiritual practices and how to implement them in our everyday life, the same as we need to learn nutrition, how to implement that, or supplements in our everyday life.
For sure. You've talked a lot about a wide variety of self-care aspects, so everything from journaling, meditating, nutrition, mental and emotional therapy, for want of a better term. What else is in your self-care routine? From, it might be, let's talk about your exercise side of things, to, whether it's jumping in a Epsom salt bath. Like, run us through what you do to look after yourself.
So My self-care is actually much different than what most people would think. I'm not the girl that's like, yeah, I sit there and journal every morning and then I meditate and I take an hour to do my thing and I do my bath. My self-care really revolves around, and this has taken me a long time to get here. This is the new evolution, let's say, of where I'm at, is I treat myself the way that I wish my boyfriend would treat me. So anything that I wish that he would do for me, I do for myself. I buy myself flowers. I get myself massages. I'm to all my friends, I'm known as the extra girl. They're like, Nikki is so extra. I'm like, thank you so much. Because I take that as a compliment, being like when my lymphatic drainage massage girl comes, and that's a form, right? Is not just a soothing massage, it's like really moving things out of the body. I light all the candles and I put my constellation machine, and even she walks in and she's like, what is going on? This is amazing. So I always think of it, what I would want a partner to do for me is what I do for myself. And that's what I call self-love. Because yes, I can journal every day, I can meditate every day, but this has been the new level where it suddenly became, oh, I can fill my love tank up. And filling my love tank up actually has a bigger impact than just the quote unquote, self-care practices. I still do those, I still exercise. And I had a really big shift years ago around when I would exercise after binging, as most people exercise after they've eaten a big meal or they don't like what they eat. So exercise therefore becomes the punishment for a behavior. I completely switched it around, and if I ate bad, I wouldn't allow myself to exercise. I would only allow myself to go work out if I ate good. And that was really hard for the mind, but I retrained myself to say, I exercise because I love myself, not because I hate myself. So that's another form of self-care that I do.
Yeah, amazing. And touching a bit more, just tapping into, you have so much wisdom, an abundance of wisdom. So these next couple of questions actually are just kind of more about your life lessons and things that people can really learn from what you've learned yourself and taken out of life. So what are the biggest life values that you have, if you had to name a few?
Biggest life values. I would say... Actually, I'll show you. They're tattooed on me. So I'm holding, for those who are listening, I'm holding my arm up. I have a little heart on my wrist here, and it's pointing outwards because it's do all things with love. And it's a reminder to, yes, love myself because it's on me, but always a reminder, do all things with love. And then here, I have the word trust written on one of my fingers, and that is because I have to trust myself, trust the universe, trust others, trust that everything is happening as exactly as it's meant to. Those are my two big abiding things, values that I live by. And then authenticity would be my other one.
Where's the tattoo for that, Nikki? Come on.
Yeah, that one is, that's just how I live. The tattoo's my Instagram, let's say.
That's good. That's good to hear. Tattooed on your heart.
Yes.
I should be a poet. Goodness me, how beautiful is that? All right, Nikki, you've done so much. You've lived so much of a life so far. I'm talking as if you're 85 and you're about to cark it, but you're still so young. What's in all of the life that you've lived? What's the biggest life lesson that you've had that you've grown from?
That we all suffer. That's probably the biggest one, because for so many years, I thought that it was just me going through this. And I thought I was alone. And the more that I connected with my Instagram community and, now hundreds of thousands across the world, I really have realized that we all have this journey and we all feel like we're suffering and alone, when in reality, we are all going through a unique individual journey that only we are supposed to go through. And it's been one of the greatest things for me to understand that, if I almost, and this might get a bit woo-woo for some people, but I did a lot of soul work of like starting to understand reading about souls. And it was like, if my soul has already chosen the suffering that I'm going through in this lifetime for all the lessons that I'm going to learn, why am I then choosing to suffer as I go through those? And I was like mind blown, being like, oh my God, I choose not to suffer anymore. Because I then realized that everything I'm going through is a lesson to be learned. And there's something that I'll be able to share with my audience, and I'll grow from it, become a better person. That doesn't mean by any, like, I still have bad days. I still have times that I wish things were different. I still have really hard, like the past 6 months of my life have been hard, not easy. You can't really tell it from Instagram because I do have a private life outside of Instagram, but it has allowed me to really understand that we all go through things. And when you have compassion and empathy, anything is possible. And then you start to realize you are not alone.
Yeah, that is so important. And I kind of wish I just want like a little version of you on my shoulder every time I need like a little positive chat. Hey, Nikki. That's what I was thinking as you were saying that. I was like, I need a little Nikki angel on my shoulder.
I love it.
And so going from suffering to overcoming, do you have a list of things or 3 things that you really thought helped you to become a better version of yourself? You might have already touched on it a bit, but are there anything specific that you really felt helped you become a better version?
Gosh, I mean, I have touched on it in so many ways. And I would say if I had to boil it down to 3 things, I would changing the way that I eat to, looking at the rainbow of food. That was transformative to my health, to my mindset. Really understanding that we all want love and connection. And for me, the self journey was that I did a really good job of pushing people away. And so I read this incredible book called Attached, and it talks about the attachment styles in relationships. And it helped me understand that while I seek and crave love, as we all do, because of my upbringing and different things that happened in high school, I would push people away. And so I was able to overcome that. And then the third thing would be really having this deeper understanding of trust. And it's not something that you can just like learn overnight or like take a pill for trust. It's like you have to really start to believe in yourself that everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. And when I'm going through bad moments, I sit there and I rub my tattoo, my trust tattoo, and I'm like, everything is happening exactly as it's meant to. Everything is right. And I do have to like pep talk myself. But those 3 were the biggest changes for me.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Nikki. So we have the next segment, which is my favorite segment. It's Meg's favorite segment as well. And if it's not, it is. Just run with it. You got no other choice, Meg. It is called #Spirulina Shots. And it's a wild segment. How it works for everyone who's listening at home for the first time is we have a superfood called Spirulina. Is it on it's on the shelf somewhere. Where is it?
I have it right here.
You've got it. There we go. Lovely. Nikki's got it prepared.
Oh, yeah.
We sent her a copy. Meg's got it as well. It's the most badass superfood on the planet. It is a very complete superfood, very nutrient dense. That's the upside. The downside is it tastes like creek, and when you add water to it, it tastes like creek water. So what better way to make this segment fun than we shot Spirulina? And we've got, just showing the camera here, we've got our Spirulina shots lined up on the table. We've sent it to Nikki over in the US, and she's set it up on her side. And we're going to ask Nikki 4 questions related to 4 of her Instagram posts. And if she gets the answer correct, then we have to do the Spirulina shot. Whoever asks the question, if she gets it wrong, then Nikki has to do the Spirulina shot. Nikki just told us, we just had a little bit of a segue while we're setting up the camera, that she has a photographic memory, so we might as well just start drinking now.
I'm gonna be eating my words there.
We always go too easy. But anyway, I'm gonna try and make it hard.
No,
the first one, Nikki. All right, Nikki, are you ready?
Maybe.
Maybe. Alrighty. For those playing at home on the video version on YouTube, you can watch the video version on YouTube. We will show you the image so you can play along at home right now. Nikki, this goes back to May 2019. We're going back in the archives. And you're in, I believe, your kitchen. And black top, white pants, with a bag of popcorn in your hands. And you're talking about a very important topic here. That I feel like if I give you this next tip, you've got it. But I will anyway. This important thing decreases stress hormone. What is it you're talking about?
Wait, this important thing decreases the stress hormone.
Yeah, in your caption, you're talking. Which, by the way, so many things decrease stress hormone.
I'm like,
but
oh my gosh!
But I'll give you a clue. It's not the popcorn you're eating at that time in the photo.
I'm wearing a white top and black pants.
No, black top, white pants. White shorts. White shorts.
Oh, I know the image. That was from my second book.
Yep.
Okay, that was from my second book, so I know that.
Yep, that's it.
And what decreases, what was it?
You're talking about, in your caption, about something important that decreases stress hormone. And you've got everything. The good news is that doesn't require photographic memory. You got the photo right, but now we're talking about a description.
I thought I was like, wait, I got the photo. I know it. I can tell you all the details about the photo. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right, I'm going to count you down. 5.
What decreases?
4.
Don't put me
3,
on the spot.
2, 1. I got to get a prop. That was the worst siren I've ever heard. Laughter. Laughter was what you're talking about.
Oh, my God. I thought I just had to
good, I gotcha.
I thought I just had to see the image and like where I was, what I was doing. Wait, so do I have to do this now?
Save it to the end.
Oh, okay.
How many shot glasses do you have? Do you have 4 lined up? Amazing.
4.
Okay, so we'll do it all together at the end.
I don't like this anymore.
And you've got a white top on. You're screwed.
I know. Is that why you're wearing
so I have
Absolutely.
Oh yes, all right.
That, and it's the first real hot day in Sydney. Finally, like all summer, it's just been raining. All summer, but yeah.
So you wear black. You wear black for hot days. That's what.
I wear black for when I know I'm going to be sweating.
All right, let's go. Second one.
All right, so the second picture is from August 2020, and you're at Tulum. Do you say Tulum? Sorry,
Tulum
Beach. Tulum Beach. You're leaning up against kind of like a wooden door. It looks like, and you're wearing a white top. Looks like you might have denim shorts or jeans on. What are you holding in your hands?
I'm going to say August 2020, so we just passed. I'm going to say a smoothie. No!
A coconut.
Oh!
God, Nikki. None from 2.
I was actually so sure you were going to guess that right.
I almost said that. And then the thing is, because of this photographic memory I have, that photo was actually taken in Bali when I was in Canggu,
okay.
and so I know the photo, but because I tagged it Tulum, that's where I got thrown off.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I don't like this game.
You're in. Alrighty. So, well, this, you might be throwing yourself off again because my photo is also in Tulum, Mexico. Shout out to Mexico. We're talking here. Okay, well, firstly, I'll describe the photo. Black Nike tank top.
Yeah, crop top.
Crop top, sorry. What's the difference between a tank top and a crop top?
Tank tops are just a little bit longer.
I don't wear crop tops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Sports bra, black sports bra,
Pink
Nike
leggings.
sports bra. Well done. You're on fire again with the photographic memory. You've got a red. You're on a red table, sitting at a red table, and you've got something in front of you that you're talking about, and you talk about it in the description as well. And you're making an important point about it. So it's an item that's on the actual red table.
Is the
Tulum,
item
Mexico.
is the item itself red?
No. Just the table.
Just the table. I think I'm holding a smoothie.
Correct? What type?
A green smoothie.
You're talking about it. Yeah, well done.
Because I know the photo.
You got me.
I know the photo, but I don't. Yes. Yeah. See, that's like kind of a red table.
Isn't that a red table?
Wait, so did I get that? Did I get that right?
You got that right.
Finally.
Yeah, you got it right.
Finally.
Yeah, I mean, I helped you along, but I'll give you it. All right, I've got a spirulina. Secretly, I just want to really do a spirulina shot.
I know. I was going to say.
I
was like, they're good anyways. I'll take them all.
Yeah.
I need some nutrients after going for an hour in this podcast. All right, last one. Can you square it up 2 each, or do we take you 3-1?
All right. So this photo is from May 2019, and you're actually in Paris, and you are in front of a big building. I'm not exactly sure what the building is, but it's a big building, and you're doing something.
Yoga.
An action.
Yoga.
But what pose? What pose? I really should have Googled the pose.
I posted a few different photos, so that's hard because I'm either doing dancer or pigeon, or it's a video of me doing a yoga flow. Not flying. I'm either doing flying pigeon or dancer. Dancer with my hand over my head, or I'm doing king pigeon.
All right,
what does king pigeon look like?
Do we have a resident in yoga? We need to ask one of our employees. I'm out.
What does the king pigeon look like?
So there's one where I'm like, can I show you? Where I put my hand here and I do this, and I put my foot in my thing.
Right, yeah. It's not that one.
So it's where my legs are shooting off like that.
Are you
Which way is your head going?
standing up?
My head's to the side.
I think this is
Sort
a different one.
I don't know. She got the answer right anyway.
Yeah, well, let's show you.
Oh, that one. See, that's what I was saying. That's scorpion.
Okay, yeah.
If you told me what color I was wearing, I would have been able to get that.
Yeah.
What's that building? It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
That is.
Or is it just a random one?
It's over where the Louvre is, and the building surrounding it. I forget the actual name, but it's where the king used to live. And so if you look back around there, I post a lot of photos of like the Louvre and like doing yoga, and you see all these beautiful, like it's, when I lived in Paris, it was mad. And Paris was a really cool story because I was really depressed living in LA, really quick side note. And this is where I say, like, you have to trust that higher self. And I just one day was like, I'm going to move to Paris. And I sold all my stuff and I moved there and I did it. And it was one of the best years of my life. I feel like we both have to drink on that one. I kind of got it right. I kind of got it right.
That's fair.
We'll give you it. So what are you doing? 3? You're doing 3.
Yeah.
Meg and I are doing 1.
2.
Look, we got extra here. I'm just gonna
like,
do.
just take
I'm just gonna do 2 anyway. Meg's gonna film it.
Okay.
Alrighty. We ready? Long distance virtual spirulina shots together. We'll do the taps. Oh, wait till Meg's ready.
All right, we're good.
Okay.
Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ugh, that tastes so good.
Woo! Oh, it's in warm water as well. Meg, come on, Meg. Meg made these beforehand. Oh, give us some help. That was like, at least cool the water.
Everyone has like green tea. All right, I just downed 3. The interesting thing, and here's maybe how weird I am, they almost taste like nutritional yeast to me.
Oh.
They do. 100.
I can see. Yeah.
This,
the aftertaste.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, you got to. Oh, you did it too late. You got to smile to the camera.
Oh, I did it. I can take another one.
Now you're all clean.
I mean, I have enough. If you want me to
Why
smile.
not?
Go
just
for
go
it.
for it. Nice.
There, I just did
Love
4.
it. All right. Yeah, that is a wellness warrior right there.
If we had an award for this segment, it would definitely go to you.
You're a trooper, Nikki.
That was a good segment.
It's a great one. It's our famous spirulina shots, and goes good every time. We're into the final questions. Meg, do you want to run through this section?
Yeah. So we know you're a bit of a world traveler. So give us your most memorable traveling experience to date.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Most memorable traveling experience. Probably when I moved from Australia and I was moving to South Korea. So I was leaving Australia after my year time and I was going to South Korea to go model and didn't have a cell phone. That, I had a cell phone. It didn't work when I got to South Korea. I arrived at like 11 p.m. The internet didn't, or I think I maybe emailing them and they weren't answering. My modeling agency was supposed to come pick me up, and you're in a place where they don't speak English, and this is like 2011. And I finally asked, I waited for an hour being like, what do I do? Didn't have any money, didn't know what, couldn't get a hold of anyone, just being like, okay, I'm in this crazy, bizarre foreign land. What do I do now? And finally I asked a guy to speak English, and I explained, this was my modeling agency. Could he call them on his phone? So he did and found it. And then another like half an hour later they came. And it was one of those moments where you're like, oh crap, what am I doing? And I was terrified. And by the time they came, it was midnight and I was tired from flying. And it was just truly one of those moments where you're like, your brain starts to freak out and you're like, and it's like, it doesn't sound like a big deal to anyone else. But in that moment, to me, it was like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? I should go home. No one's here. And you don't know what's going to happen next. I would say when I was living in Shanghai with my modeling agency, this is another one, maybe more interesting. On my last week there, I said I wanted to go eat their dumplings. China's famous for dumplings. My agency gave me the local place to go. They wrote out what I should do. I think at that time I said like no meat or something. And I get there and I order and I take a bite into this dumpling and there were worms in it. And I freaked out and I spit it out because I was suddenly eating worms. And apparently it's like a delicacy. And I was like, yeah, this is not happening.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, were the worms in there on purpose?
Yes, they were there on purpose.
Yes. Someone left that off TripAdvisor or whatever.
Yeah.
Goodness me, that little small detail. I feel like you've talked about this at length. Well, you definitely have at length. But is there anything in your wellness routine that we haven't talked about that you'd in our final rundown of questions you'd like to touch on that's important?
Yes, we were just talking about it off camera. That I drink wine, and people are always kind of and I alluded to it, but like people are shocked to know that someone like me still goes out, still has fun. I like martinis, I like red wine, and the reason I'm saying that's in my wellness routine is because the ultimate goal of wellness is actually to find balance. Because when you go too far in any one direction, that's where judgment and guilt comes from. Or if you're, so healthy that you can never have anything else, well, that's still having some sort of mental effect on your mind and body, and you're not having the human experience. And so for me, wine has become like living in Paris. Wine became just this beautiful delicacy of like sitting with friends, and instead of getting drunk like in the rest of the world, it's all about, you sit there with your glass, when you're done, you go home, that's that. People don't really get hungover in the Parisian culture. And so it really helped me to understand living there that wellness is all about balance. And balance means, and we talked about this before, that there's no right or wrong in what you're doing. There's good and better, but it doesn't mean that you're doing something bad, because then judgment comes from that. So like, we just took all the spirulina shots, and it's like, and I'm not going to tonight, but I would have no issue being like, okay, I'm going to go have wine now. No problem whatsoever, because I know that it's not an issue, or I'm not allowed to have it. And people on my audience are always so fascinated to know that like I'm so quote unquote real, when so many wellness people are like, I don't drink, I don't eat this, I don't do gluten, I don't eat cheese, and I'm like, I do, all of them, but in balance and moderation.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, moving on to this next question, it's definitely going to be one for balance, moving from wine to talking about smoothies. So we know you love your Tropeaka products, so let us know what your favorite Tropeaka smoothie is.
Oh my gosh, the lean caramel, I am obsessed with. I haven't tried the cookie dough flavor yet, though. I might need to get that in my.
We'll have to ship you that
my
ASAP.
repertoire. So I do. It's so simple. Actually, my favorite thing to do, and I'll give a smoothie recipe, but literally my favorite thing to do, because it's so easy, is I take the lean caramel and I mix it in water, and then I add the BCAAs, and they taste so good together, and you wouldn't think that. And I can drink that all day long, literally all day long, because the flavors don't compete at all. It's simple, it's hydrating because you're getting the water. In terms of actual smoothies, I've been doing the vanilla. Obviously, green, so I'll do like frozen spinach. What I'll do is, if spinach is going off, I'll put it in the freezer before it goes off, and then you can just take it out. So I do that, the vanilla, and then I do coconut milk, like half a cup of coconut milk. I'll do a squeeze of lime, and then I put some either like pineapple or mango. It is and ginger, so ridiculously good.
Yeah, amazing. Solid combo. And your workouts would be at a whole new level if you're mixing lean protein and the toned BCAA together.
Honestly,
that's a killer combo. I love that.
I started seeing so many results for like I was, because I'm already in pretty good physical health, all of that, but I started running faster and longer distances. And at the time where I was like, it was the only supplements that I was really taking consistently, and I was like, there's literally nothing else I can attribute it to but that. And then I started seeing more definition. I was like, all right, I'm hooked, sold forever. Thank you. So if you could just send me a lifetime supply, that would not kidding.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something we're very, very proud about. The fact that there's a lot of health food companies out there, but we came into starting Tropeaka for a reason, to really impact people's lives. And the only way you can really impact people's lives is having the best quality products that do exactly what they're designed to do. So something I'm very, very grateful for. And thank you for those kind words.
Sarah's Bloom. Nikki, I have to say, Sarah's Bloom as well.
Yeah. Sarah's Day Body Bloom.
Sarah's the Body Bloom. I love that one as well.
Yeah, it's great. Do you have it in the morning? Is that after your lemon water, or do you have it at a different time in the day?
Whenever because I drink water all day, and I put it in a mason jar, and I'll just sit there and I'll so if I'm doing let's say the protein powder and the BCAA, I'll do that in one, and then later in the day I'll do the Sarah's powder. It just because it also makes the water taste better, so it's like you're kind of like hydrating and getting all your nutrients and everything.
Such an easy hack, isn't it? Just to if you don't want to just be drinking plain water, put something that's healthy in it at the same time, whether it's a Tropeaka product like Sarah's Day Body Bloom. I mean, the BCAAs taste amazing in water as well. It's such an easy hack by itself. The thing people always forget about is like they put it in like room temperature water. It's like you never go to a juice bar and they give you room temperature water. There's a reason why every single place on the planet puts ice in your drink, because cold tastes better. So make sure you have chilled water or put some ice in it and it'll always taste amazing. Nikki, you're an absolute star. Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you on the podcast. But more importantly, thank you so much for the impact that you make on hundreds of thousands of people's lives around the world. Like, the world needs more people like you, and it's something that, I'm very thankful that people like you exist. So keep kicking ass, keep doing what you're doing, and please let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Let them know about your 5-day real food detox, where they can get that from. You've also got a second book as well, so please let everyone know everything.
Sure. You can find Nikki Sharp on Instagram, nikkisharp.com. And then my books are available on Amazon, I believe worldwide. I might bite my words on that, but I'm pretty sure they are. And the second one is all about meal prepping. So it's meal prep your way to weight loss, because so many people do want to lose weight, and especially it's the new year, and there's 100 recipes in that one. So it's kind of the follow-up from the 5-day detox, and then to continue the journey. And I'm super proud of those books, and thank you guys so much for having me. This was incredible, and Spirulina shots included. It was amazing.
Love it. Thank you, Nikki. Meg, you want to wrap it up?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let's call it a wrap there.
Awesome. We'll see you guys in episode 12. Take care. Bye-bye.
Just a reminder before you leave, thank you so much again for tuning into the hashtag Who podcast so far. Remember to hit that subscribe button right now so don't miss out on any future episodes, and also remember to share it with all of your friends. You can also find us at Tropeaka on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, pretty much all over the web for all of your health and fitness inspo with a whole lot of fun.